Namaste everyone. See, today I wish to share with you one Hindu mythology story. See, the story goes by the name Holika Dahan. Now, Holika is a name, and Dahan means the death. So basically, Holika Dahan means the death of Holika. Now, this is one of the many Hindu mythology stories. The purpose of sharing this story is what can we learn from this story. See, Holika Dahan happens a day before. It's a ritual in in Hinduism, and Hindus practice this, celebrate this ritual a day before Holi, a night before Holi, and the ritual is they lit a bonfire a day before, a night before Holi, and the next day Holi is celebrated. Now, this Holika Dahan has a story behind it. What is the story? The story is that Holika is a uh, sister of a king, a demon king called Hiranyakashipu. Now, she being sister of a demon king, she is also a demoness. Now, this demon king Hiranyakashipu has an evil desire that he wanted to become an invincible and immortal king. So since he wanted to become an invincible and immortal king, he does his tapas. He does his what you call penance. He does his tapas, and as a consequence, as a fruit of his successful completion of his what you call this tapas, he gets 5 boons from Brahma. Now, one of the boons says that he should neither be killed by a human being nor by an animal. The second boon says that he should neither be killed indoors or outdoors. Now, third boon says that he should neither be killed by a shastra, a projectile weapon, or by astra, a handheld weapon. And he should neither be killed during the night or during the day. And the fifth and the last boon was that he should not be killed either on the ground, on the land, or in the air, or in water. So he gets these 5 boons from Brahma, and then he becomes proud, he becomes arrogant, because now he knows that he cannot be defeated by anybody and he cannot be killed. So he becomes invincible by virtue of this. He becomes invincible and becomes immortal. Now he orders in the kingdom that only he should be worshipped as a god and no other god. So the subject in his kingdom, the people in his kingdom, should not worship any other god, but they should worship only Hiranyakashipu as a god. And he becomes arrogant. He becomes cruel. Now he conducts his affairs of the state in a cruel manner. He tortures people. So he's not a human being. He's not a human king. He's not a nice or benevolent king. He's a cruel king. But he has got a son by the name Prahlad. But Prahlad is a nice man. He's a nice human being. He's a boy. But Prahlada does not agree with his father. Prahlada says, no, I will not worship I will not worship Hiranyakashipu as a god. Rather, Prahlad is a devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he worships only Lord Vishnu. Now, in Hinduism, there are 3 principal gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. It can be understood this way. Brahma is a beginning. Brahma is a metaphor for birth. So Brahma gives birth, he creates, and then he leaves it to Vishnu for the later affairs. So Vishnu is a span of life, is a length of life. So Vishnu is a peak of this vibration. So you can apply Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. You can see my video. You can apply to many, many things. You can apply to this creation if this creation has happened, or you can apply to a small wave in an ocean, We are also like a wave in an ocean. You can apply to any wave. So the wave is born. So Brahma creates that wave, and this wave moves to its peak. So the span of life of that wave, so it is Vishnu. That span indicates life, the life of this wave, it is Vishnu, and then it comes down towards its decay or death or annihilation or transformation, whatever you call, for the next birth of that wave. And that stage, the end of it is given to Shiva. So this way there are three principal gods in Hinduism: Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakashipu, is a good person. He is not a demon, but he worships not Hiranyakashipu, his father, who is a demon, but Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Now, Hiranyakashipu does not like this behavior of his son because he wanted all the people in his kingdom to worship him only as a lord, as a god. So one day he strategizes. In the past, he did many attempts to kill Prahlad, but Prahlad somehow escapes from death because he worships Lord Vishnu. Vishnu is a metaphor for life. And then finally he strategizes. This time he strategizes with his sister. So he plans another attempt with his sister, Holika, to kill Prahlad. So he wanted to kill his own son. So he becomes so arrogant. Now, Holika is again a demoness. She also has got a bone. Now, her bone is that she has got a special kind of clothing, by virtue of which she is protected by fire. So fire doesn't harm her. So that is the bone. Now, in this strategy, in this plan, she being the aunt of Prahlad, she takes Prahlad in her arms and sits on this bonfire, the same bonfire that the Hindus celebrate as a ritual. She sits on this bonfire thinking that because she is protected by fire and Prahlad will be burnt into fire. And Prahlad being a boy, he trusts her aunt and sits in her lap. But somehow this strategy fails, it misfires because of as the fire roars, because of the winds and gale, because of the heavy winds and gales, somehow this special clothing of Holika blows off from her body. It falls on Prahlad, it falls and wraps around Prahlad. So in the process, Prahlad is saved. Again, in this attempt, Prahlad is not killed, but since the special clothing of Holika comes out of her body, she is burned to death. She is burned to ashes. Now, this ritual is celebrated every year by the Hindus. Now, this symbolizes as a victory of righteousness over evil or non-righteousness, or it is celebrated as it symbolizes as a victory of good over evil. But this is only a ritual. Now, what I wish to share an insight into this is, see, rituals are just rituals. By repeating rituals, nothing will happen. If the rituals revolutionizes you from inside, if they transform you, if they change you from within, then it is a different aspect. But then you will have to find out what is that ritual that changes you from within. So I don't think this kind of rituals can ever change you from within. And unless I change myself from within, unless I change myself, transform myself from within, there is no point to this life, right? Life is an evolution. All the stories of mythology, if you see, they are evolution. Even if you go into the, let us say, 10 avatars in Hinduism, it is an evolution from small consciousness to highest consciousness. So it is from Matsya Avtara, which is a fish, to gods, to various gods which the Hindus have considered or reckoned as gods, like Rama, Krishna, Parshurama, so on and so forth. So it is an evolution from the lower to the higher. It is from moving from the lower consciousness to the higher consciousness. Then what is good and what is evil then? This is where I wish to share my insight. See, anything that is done unconsciously leads to evil. This is my argument. And anything that is done consciously leads to goodness. So all conscious acts lead to goodness, and all unconscious acts lead to evil. So the acts of tamas lead to more evil, and the acts of rajas lead to less evil compared to the acts of tamas, whereas the acts of sattva lead to goodness. So this is the essence that I want to share through this story. This is how the Hindu mythology stories are meaningful. They draw a lesson. They tell us something. Deep down, there is a story. There is a message behind every story. So that is it that I wish to share on account of Holi. Holi happened yesterday. But behind this Holi, there is this Holika Dahan story. And this story symbolizes something meaningful. It tells us about something meaningful. That is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. That is it for today.